My name is Barbara Dyke. I'm from Leander, Texas, which is just north of Austin, Texas. This video is on the Passap striped scarf, which is knitted in Charlene Schaefer's Tam 3-ply yarns for the most part. This scarf is very close to what the Harry Potter scarves look like in the movie 3. They're my version of the striped scarf, okay? This is one done in the white and black in the 3-ply, and this is what the fringe looks like. We're going to start the scarf with the knitting the fringe, and we'll put the fringe on the machine and knit it into the scarf. So the first step we're going to do is knit the fringe. So basically we're going to knit 3 or 4 sections of trim. This is what the first section is. Now on this red I'm not using the Tam 4-ply because I had a big spool of red. I wanted to go ahead and use that up. So we're going to knit about 85 to 90 rows of the red in the fringe and then take it off on waste yarn. And I'm going to knit 3 more sections of trim, and this is how we're going to set it up. So it's going to be double bed knitting. So we're going to set up number 10, 11, 12, and 13, which is 4 stitches. Then we're going to pull 1, 2, and 3. So we're doing this all on the right side of 0. We want our racking handle up into 12 o'clock so we can match our needles. Make sure we got the correct. Now we're going to do a racking cast on. What we're going to need to do is complete the racking cast on. We need to be on stitch size 4.5 on both beds. I need to check that. Stitch size 4.5, and we need to be on in on the back bed and in on the front. And we're going to go ahead and knit 1 row. And we're going to rack and handle all the way back down. Now I'm not putting weights, the cast on cones on this one. I'm just going to grab my yarn and I'm going to hold it down. Okay, so that's the cast on complete. So we're going to be knitting this and in all the way across. So I need my orange strippers. So I'm going to put my orange strippers in. I'm going to zero out my row count, and I'm going to knit about 85 to 90 rows. I'm going to hold on to my yarn, giving enough hand tension with holding on to my yarn strap until I get enough knitted down where I can put a weight on it. Okay, so here we go. Okay, I've knitted about 30 rows. So now this is a brother weight that I like to use a lot. I'm going to hang it on my fringe, and then that will give me freedom to knit until row count 95. I'm going to go ahead and knit about 95 rows. Okay, I've knitted to row count 96. I'm going to knit this in a big long strip. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change over. And I'm going to knit about 10 rows of waste yarn. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back now and pick up the red. And this is going to start a new section of fringe. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do my racking cast on again. So I'm going to rack my handle, one completely turned to the left, knit 1 row, rack completely back to the right, knit 1 row, put the row counter on 0. Now I'm going to knit about, you always have to end with an even number on Passap. So I'm going to knit about 94, 96 rows. It's more rows than I need for the fringe, but I like to make sure on how well the fringe stretches across the bed. I'd rather have more than less. So we're going to go ahead and do again about 94, 96 rows. Okay, I'm going to cut this yarn here off. I want to pull down a length, and I'm going to grab it and I'm going to cut it off, and I'm going to hook it over here. So we're now ready to take this off the machine. So I'll cut the red yarn and park it. So I have done a length of different fringes, so I didn't worry about pulling yarn over to sew, because when I unravel this up here I'm going to have plenty of yarn for sewing. So I want to cut this yarn because I don't want it to unravel, so I don't want this string hanging around in my way. So we're going to get rid of that. And what we're going to do now is, because this is a cast on edge here, we're going to carefully go ahead and get it out, so because we need to separate it. So if you want to knit, go ahead and you don't want to do it like in a string like this, you can knit it individually, it doesn't matter. What I'm going to do is, because I'm going to just pluck this yarn out and free up that cast on edge, because I want to start with my cast on edge. So we're just going to just pull it on out. And we can cut it. If it starts giving us a little too much trouble, we can go ahead and cut it. It's just waste yarn. There we go. And now we're going to go over here. And let's give that a little nip. There we go. Just make sure you don't cut the red yarn. Last thing you want to cut is the red yarn. Now all these scarves I've been making, I've been using the Tam 3-ply. This red is not the Tam 3-ply. I just happen to have a lot of this big old spool of red, and I decided to use this red. It's about comparable to the 3-ply, but it's not as rich in color as the Tam 3-ply red is. The Tam 3-ply red is a lot prettier red. Okay, we got one free, and we need one more free for the first part of the scarf, and we'll free up those other two later off camera. Now we have our 4 sections of fringe, so we're going to start by putting on 2 sections of the fringe. What we're going to do is that you can see the fringe here, but see on this side how there's a ridge right here. This is what we're going to be picking up, is this loop right here, and putting it on the machine. This loop right here. So you want to make sure that it faces a certain way. So we're going to drop the bed and put this fringe on. Now what we need to think about is how the scarf is being knitted. So this is a sample I knitted. When we put the fringe on, we're going to lay the fringe to put it on to begin with this part facing the center of the bed. And that's because we want this to lay down like this, and then when we get through knitting the scarf, we want to flip it up like this and then tack this down. See, it will be connected fully to your scarf. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring up 25 needles on the left and 25 needles on the right on both beds, because this is done the same way as the color block scarf. It's going to be circular, no seams. I'm very fond of seamless items. I hate sewing seams. So if I can get out of it in any type, frame, or fashion, that's what I'm going to. So I've got 25 to the left, 25 to the right. I'm going to put my racking handle in the 12 o'clock position and match my needles. And that's an easy match than trying to just count everything up. So I'm making sure I bring everything up. Got too many over, so I'll put some down. So now I have every needle I need on the front bed and the back bed. So I'm going to drop it back down into the 6 o'clock position for now. And I'm going to drop my bed. There's a handle on the right hand side. Be careful that you do not cut your hand. Those can be kind of sharp sometime. I had dropped my handle one time and cut my wrist right across like that. So be careful when you drop your handles and make sure that you don't have any sharp edges. So again, we're looking here. So we're going to start on the cast on edge, and we're going to start with it folded this way, and you see you're looking, you got your fringe facing the center of the bed. Now we're not going to worry about picking up the very first edge of the cast on, because that we're going to use to turn around the corner when we sew the two fringes together on both sides. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start picking up, and we're going to pick up every about 3 or 4. You can skip one. It just depends on the stretch of your yarn. So we're wanting to pick up these little stitches. Now once we get a couple of stitches going, we can take, again, it's a brother weight. You can get it at Charlene Schaefer's. They're not overly expensive. I kind of wore off the price tag on this one, but I'm going to take and I'm going to connect it to I'm going to drop this fringe in here, and I'm going to grab this 2-prong right on the edge of that fringe, and that's going to give me a little bit of weight. Can be a little awkward a little bit. There we go. I got that 2-claw there. I got it dug in, so that's now giving me a little bit of weight and a little bit of stability with my needles. And now I can just turn and I can see my loops better, and I'm just picking up. So that's 4, so I'm going to skip that one and then go another 4. You don't have to be perfect. This is like 4 rows of fringe, so you're not going to lose your fringe by skipping one, but you do want to just pick up 1 loop, not 2. So, and that will give you a little bit more fringe too by having an extra little loop of fringe there. So we're going to go all the way across with this, putting it on. Okay, now we have got it completely put on across. Like I said, there is some left over, but I'm going to take this weight and I'm going to hang it on this fringe right here, so that gives me some weight down. Now it's time to do the same thing, but do it on the front bed instead of the back bed. So we're going to take another section of our fringe. We're going to fold it the same way we did, and we're going to turn it this way, because again we want the fringe facing the center of the machine. So we're going to start picking it up here, and we're going to again start on the cast on edge. Always start on the cast on edge, because it'd be awful hard to unravel the cast on edge. Now I'm going to take and I'm going to bring a couple of stitches in. It's a little hard to see. It's a little hard to maneuver. Once you get it going, it's okay. Sometimes it's a little hard to start. So there's my second. And see, might be a little easier to see from this end. Okay, again, I've got 3 stitches, so I'm going to get my brother 2-prong weight. I'm going to put it in underneath here. Bring it across. I want to hang it on the fringe. See, it caught the fringe really good. Okay, now I'm going to bring that back up. Get my orange tool again, and I'm just going to start working. And this is to me, this one side's a little easier because I got a little bit better view of the stitch I want to pick up. I'm just picking up half that stitch. So, and here we go. And we're just going to go all the way across like we did last time. Trying to make sure my hand's out of your way. Stretch it out and adjust it how it feels best for you. So I want to skip one every now and then so I can get a little fullness of that fringe. Okay, we've just completed putting our second set of fringe on. Our second fringe. So we're going to get another weight, and we want to connect it to this fringe here. Get it in there. Get a good grip on that, because this is our weights, because we're not using cast on cones. So now we're going to get ready to start with the scarf. So we're going to close our beds, line up our needles. That's good. We need our scarf. We're going to knit into stitch size 6. So we need to change our lock setting to stitch size 6 and stitch size 6. Going to pick up the red yarn, and we're going to do a racking cast on. So we're going to take our racking handle cast on, and we're going to go one full turn to the left, knit one row. It's going to be a little hard. There we go. One full row back to the right, knit one row, and now we're going to set it up to knit circular for our scarves. Now our scarf pattern is on the page 3 here, and it is done on a 100 row setting. So the main color is going to do 70. Let me put this here. This is the chart, and we got the stripe pattern. So here's each time how many stripes. We're doing a total of 14 stripes plus an extra 70 rows to finish off the scarf. So but we're going to do 70 rows in color 1, 10 rows in the second color, the stripe, then back to the main color for another 10, and then back to the stripe color for another 10, which gives our pattern 100 rows each. Okay, so we're going to do it based on that. We need to set our lock on CX, and we're going to knit. I'm going to knit about 50 rows, and then I'm going to do the same trick I did with the color block scarf, where I'm going to put a few of the purl stitches over so that the scarf doesn't bias later on. So we're going to start off by knitting 50 rows. And I'm always forgetful. I tell you that all the time. That's the reason why I like to use weights. I need to change to my black strippers. Once you start doing the circular knit, you need to go to your black strippers, and your racking handle needs to be in the 12 o'clock position to make that corner tighter. So I did 4 rows the wrong way, but that's going to be hidden by the fringe, so I'm not going to worry about taking out those 4 rows. So I'm going to continue knitting to my row count 50. I now have my racking handle in the 12 o'clock position, which is where it should have been once I started with the CX and black strippers. Okay, I'm at row count 50. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to pick up some back bed stitches. It's easier to see the back bed purl stitch than it is to see the front bed. So I'm just going to go, across. Not counting them, just grabbing. The whole purpose of this is just to give the scarf a little stability so it will not bias later on in washing, and as the years go by, this will kind of keep that tube together for you. Now I'm going to continue with the red until row count 70.